the result?
I was surprised that Barcelona didn't manage to get a little bit closer to making it more of a tie, but not surprised in the sense that they didn't capitulate PSG style.
Okay.
And the way it kind of meandered, when you get towards like the last 20 minutes, it's just not going to happen. And Juventus did exactly what most people would have expected them to do, I guess. It's very strong defensively.
Very strong. Ben, did you expect more of Barcelona last night? Were you surprised they didn't score, or are we all...
One shot on target, right?
Juventus were really good. Really good. Bonucci was one of the best central defensive displays I've ever seen, I think. A lot of hyperbole there, obviously.
Yeah.
What I couldn't work out today, on reflection, was whether Barcelona missed the chances that they did create because Juventus rushed them, and because they're such a quality side, and because Messi had never scored against Buffon, the psychological pressure, right? Whether the psychological pressure kind of affected them, or Juventus were just awesome. Because over the tie, I felt Barcelona had enough chances to win. Because Juventus won 3-0 on aggregate. They probably had... Higuain had a chance last night. I can't really remember any other crazy chances for Juventus in the first leg. But Barcelona, they had two big chances in the first leg, both set up by Messi that they missed. And then they also had last night... I mean, Messi should have scored two. You would say...
One in the first half.
For Messi, they were really good chances. I know he missed, but the first one that flashed past the post, and then the one where he had the open goal where Buffon was out in the second half...
Yeah,
they were really, really... Messi, you back him to score those.
I was thinking that. Do you think the fact that they performed a miracle in the last round went against them or for them when they had to replicate that, giving them a sense of it's possible? Or is it more a case of, you get nothing from the fact that it's like you've had your miracle, it's not going to happen again? But above everything else, just talking about the Juventus defence versus the PSG defence, it's just not comparable. You just don't score 3 goals against that defence. So experienced in that kind of game, it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah,
even with that mouth-watering attack.
Well, I think the point though is that they did create chances last night. Barcelona created a hatful of chances; they just couldn't get shots on target. One on target. That was bizarre. I mean, it was really crazy because some of the chances were excellent. They should have done better. They misplaced. I have a good stat from you of about quarterfinals and Barcelona. So Lionel Messi. He now hasn't scored in a quarterfinal of the Champions League in the last 4 times he's been in the quarterfinals. So there's something about quarterfinals and Champions League and Lionel Messi, they don't quite work.
It hasn't prevented him from winning 4 Champions Leagues, though. But yeah.
No, for sure.
It's a nice stat.
No, it is a nice stat. The other stat that's been going around all of today is with Neymar. Neymar had 46 misplaced passes last night in the game. 46. That is an enormous amount.
How many did he place then? If those are the misplay, what?
No, I think he got like 50-odd passes that he placed or something. It was low. It was very, very low. He wasn't good, particularly last night. I also thought Sergio Roberto sucked. It's a bit harsh there to have a go at the makeshift right back.
And
the guy who got in, but he wasn't good last night. And Barcelona, they just didn't attack down that right hand side. It was just bizarre throughout the whole evening. You were just like, what's happening there?
So
nothing happened.
Trying Alves, basically, that was their. They thought that.
They seemed to be going with Jordi Alba and Neymar down the left, which was fair enough, but it was a bit strange.
I liked Max Allegri's quote at the end of the game. He brought on Barzagli in the final stages, and he was like, as soon as Barzagli came on, we could have played till forever and we never would have conceded. That shows the confidence it was oozing out of Juventus. I think once they weathered that opening 20-minute storm or whatever, or even the first half, the chances just went. Barcelona just weren't really good enough to get past Juve. Will Juve now go on and win this thing?
Well, they can, obviously. But the thing is, let's say they go up against Real Madrid in a 2-game in the semi-finals. I feel they'd have a better chance in that scenario than in a straight one-off. I can't really... I could try to explain why I think that, but I think that in terms of a more tactical approach to a 2-game affair is more Juventus' thing, as opposed to going head-to-head with Real Madrid team with everything they have is a different, cup of tea entirely.
I hear that.
But there's no reason they can't win it. Obviously, I just see how the semi-finals pan out. As we discussed in the office, some permutations are more exciting than others, but Juve Real is what most people would want in a final, I guess.
In the final?
Yeah.
Right.
But as a semi, it's obviously still pretty tasty.
Yeah.
I guess we just don't want an Atletico Monaco final, which is a bit unfair, obviously, because Monaco. Monaco are incredibly nice to watch and stuff, but just looking at obviously the 2 big giants there of the 4, That doesn't make, I'm not lessening everything else, or not meaning to. Monaco are an incredibly attractive team to watch. And I wouldn't, again, in a one-game thing, I can see Monaco winning as opposed to against Juve or something. That's just my analysis there.
Ben, you think Juve can go on and win this whole thing?
Yeah, I think all four can win. I think all four
I
teams can win. I know it's not a huge statement.
No.
Really?
No.
Okay.
As evidenced by the two finals they did get to and choked to some extent in both.
I think their big players would perform on a night like Griezmann, basically, and potentially Torres, but
Carrasco.
Yeah, like the others. I think they would pull it out on a night if, like, after the
you don't think that would be like them getting into a third final. I can imagine even more of a choke. Like,
you don't think
we've been here? Wow,
Carrasco will snog his girlfriend again in the final. That would be something to look forward to.
No, but maybe they maybe they need to just not face Real Madrid in the final. Like, maybe they'll be better playing Real Madrid in the semis.
I mean, they're the least informed team of
You could make an argument for all four, I think. I would love to see Monaco win it. It would be amazing.
Well, if anyone's going to beat Juventus, they're going to have to score past Juventus, which is definitely not going to be an easy feat. Juventus in this Champions League, they have 5 clean sheets in a row in this season's Champions League. They have 7 clean sheets in their last 9.
And they've only conceded 1 in the competition.
But they didn't look impregnable against Barca. I know it was the Barcelona attack. They didn't look unbeatable, and they didn't look like you couldn't score against them, because we've referenced 4 chances over the 2 games they should have scored.
They didn't look impregnable. They didn't look like they wouldn't concede a goal, but they didn't in 180 minutes.
No, it's incredible. But I can point to 4 outstanding chances that were not taken by Barcelona. So I don't, and also Real Madrid. I'm not going to say they've got a better attack than Barcelona. That could cause a lot of anger, but they have a comparable attack.
Yeah, of course.
And arguably a better attack, in terms of depth, because when you've got Paco Alcacer on for Barcelona, you've got Asensio and Vasquez for Real Madrid. So I'm kind of convincing myself that Real Madrid are the clear favourites now to win.
No, I think they are.
They probably are after the holders. I think we'll know a lot more tomorrow when the draw's made, and then we'll be able to assess. But when I was thinking about it, I kind of hope that Monaco play one of the more defensive teams.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be really fascinating to see how they go up against. Because I think
Atleti of the 4, their defence arguably is the strongest. Well, their defence is incredible if you look at the stats.
Yeah. And I think in the last 2 rounds, and also in the group stages, if you throw in, Spurs have got a good defence, but Leverkusen, they haven't really faced a very, very, a really good defence, which Juventus and Atletico have. And I fear they could get picked off if that's the case.
Guys, we've been asking you right now, who do you think will win El Clasico? Real Madrid, currently, they are about to get 1,000 emojis. Sorry, this is going to happen probably as I'm speaking. They are on around 1,000. Barcelona, they are just under 600. If you want to get involved, please do. There was obviously another game last night. There was the game in France. Monaco, they progressed past Borussia Dortmund. They won 3-1 last night. Mbappe scored again, Falcao scored again, and Jermaine scored the third. I mean, I don't think this was much of a surprise, but obviously Borussia Dortmund are still recovering from last week's horrific terror attack against them, which I don't know. I'm not sure if the world is feeling the sympathy towards them. I don't know. I feel terrible towards them. I think it was a foregone conclusion, unfortunately, that they went out, and it's very sad that they did. But once again, we've been discussing him, Kylian and Mbappe, fantastic, another fantastic performance. I mean, this team just gets better and better as the goals. And the second goal was actually probably the goal of the game, right?
That was a brilliant goal.
Absolutely brilliant.
And one thing on Dortmund, I felt, not just me, but Thomas Tuchel didn't play. We were sat here yesterday saying, he's going to play Dembele, he's going to play Pulisic, it's going to be really exciting, they're really going to go for it. They didn't.
No, the Americans were going mad.
Yeah, they brought on Dembele, I think,
in the first. He played Dermot right back as a right wing back, and that just went badly. He was at fault for the first goal. He let Mendy go straight past him, blew past him before he had his shot at Bucky, and then Mbappe got the rebound. And then Derm didn't last very long, and it was.
It's been a funny season for Tuchel because at the beginning, last season everyone was saying, this guy's the new Klopp. Yeah. He's going to be awesome. Maybe the next Arsenal manager, picking him up. And now they're they'll get a Champions League place in the Bundesliga, but they're not going to finish second or first.
Or third. They're going to finish fourth.
Right. And also their Champions League campaign, I know with the extenuating circumstances, is a bit harsh, but you feel they've not really grabbed hold of the season as they might have.
Yeah. No, and I guess it looks even worse. I say worse when you see that Red Bull, obviously, they're flying again. I mean, they're now only 8 points off of Munich. They're not going to catch them. But I think that's what's worse. It's that Dortmund have slipped, but other clubs have actually picked up and gone past them. They do look...
But Dortmund now strike me as a side where you could pick off some of their players.
Yeah.
Like Pulisic or Dembele. Like a big team if they really want them. Like, why would you really stay at Dortmund? You wouldn't be convinced about a trophy coming.
Aubameyang.
Yeah, well, Aubameyang's almost certain to leave, I think.
100%. So, but Monaco, their stats this season in the Champions League are crazy, crazy good. They're the first team to score at least 3 goals in 4 successive UCL games, which is just incredible. Mbappe was also he's got 5 goals in 4 knockout rounds. He's the first person to ever do that. And Monaco, this is an unbelievable stat. Monaco against the Germans. Okay, do you know what Monaco's record is? They've lost once in 11 games against German teams. That is phenomenal. So
they've basically got a great record against German and English teams.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because they're playing Spanish and Italian now. But generally, that's pretty awesome.
100%.
And so what do we think Mbappe is now worth? Because I keep saying to myself that he's not going to keep this up. And he does in the biggest competition. Do you know what I mean? It's frightening. And I'm beginning to think that him coming to Arsenal is not going to happen now. I was convinced it was going to happen. But no, not really. But we're talking who's going to be the first 100 million footballer. And if we're going to say that Mbappe might not go this summer or the summer after, it would be him, right? I mean, what other...
Yeah. I think they were talking a few weeks ago 130 million euros. So what is it now? 150 minimum. Right. And there is now talk about a release clause.
But no one's going to pay 150 million euros to him.
Really?
I think that's too high.
Well, he might be like a...
I mean, Pogba just went... I mean, that's really high.
Really?
I think so.
What's he valued at then?
I think if he goes to 100 mil, that would still shock me. 100 million euros. I mean, I know he's fantastic, but that's a lot.
They're saying he's the best young striker since Brazilian Ronaldo, which I think is fair. I mean, I'm going to mention Rashford, but Rashford's not really even in the same conversation. So,
is there an argument to say that he should think about staying at Monaco for another year? Maybe it's best to get more experience.
Depending on who makes him the offer and whether he'll play.
And I guess if Monaco win either Liga or Champions League, then that would give him a good enough reason to say, I may as well hang around for another season. And as we've discussed many times in the office before, there's no compunction for Monaco to sell any of these players. That's why the price might be even more, because they don't need the cash.
So Alan Walsh has got in touch. Alan, you think we can't see you cheeky monkey? We can. He says, you 3 haven't got a clue about football. So come on, Alan, you tell us then. Tell us. Marcus Rashford, ha. That's what you say.
I have to say I was almost going to say
No, I agree. On Rashford, though, and we'll mention this in the future, he has got 2 goals in 2 games at the moment and is coming good at the end of the season. But, Alan, don't get cheeky in the comments, mate. We see everything down here. Everyone's everything. So, I don't know.
But one thing about Monaco, though, because we on the site we have that Chelsea scouts were there last night to watch Bakayoko, Lamar,
watch
and
any
Mendy.
number of half a dozen players.
50 players.
No one knows. There's some scouts here. Okay.
No,
the scouts don't come in with their tickets, and I'm here to see.
No, you're right. But Bakayoko has been linked with Chelsea for a while. There's rumours in the French press that that's done, and Chelsea do need a defensive midfielder. Okay, we can agree on that, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, Mendy's the left back. He's going to go to one of the top European clubs. Chelsea are linked with other left backs, even though Alonso's played well all season. Lamar's the one I don't know, because Lamar could go to Real Madrid, potentially, or Barcelona, or
and also Mbappe. I know Real Madrid are supposedly leading that.
But that's the question as well.
Chelsea would want
but isn't that the question as well with Monaco? If they sell, they've got 6 or 7 players worth.
Who don't they have to sell?
Well, you wouldn't be that bothered about the goalie, Subasic. Kamil Glick's.
I think Glick is good.
He's good.
And Jemison's good.
No, they are good, but they're not the same
players
level.
That aren't, Falcao isn't going anywhere. He's obviously realised this
that would be a huge shock if he didn't.
But there's 5 or 6 youngsters, but is your worry that they sell all these in bulk and then they're
No, my worry... Well, that is one thing for Mbappe
they don't even
to be aware of.
Do they?
No, but one thing that I think is relevant here is whether they keep... How they keep Mbappe and the others depends on whether some of the which players leave. Surely they'll say. I think what they'll do is in the summer they'll say, look, we'll let 2 or 3 go, and we'll set, and the rest we need to hold, and hopefully we can challenge again in Europe and the league. Who do they sell? Because they're all basically fit the same profile. They're all early 20s, really talented, really important players for their team. So and all the big clubs are going to come. If they sell 7 or 8, I think it would be sad for European football. I know that's modern football, but that's just be sad.
The fact that they don't have to means that it will just be 1 or 2.
We've had another funny man get in touch in the comments. This time it's Alex Green. Alex Green, don't think that we can't see you. We know who you are. Alex Green, can't you lot afford haircuts? Man, relax yourself.
Does he still need a ticket for Palace? Maybe ask on here. Maybe someone's got a ticket for Spurs.
Yeah, Alex Green's looking for a ticket for Palace Spurs. If anyone can help him out there, get in touch. Guys, we have been asking right now who will win El Clasico. We've actually got a screw up here. If you watched last show,
we didn't fix this?
No, we haven't fixed it.
Our
tech guy is on it. Currently, Real Madrid, they have
seeking a solution.
1,500. It's just gone over 1,500 votes. Thinks that Real Madrid are going to win, and Barcelona, they're lagging behind. They've just gone over 900 emojis. Get in touch if you want to have your say. So let's tuck into this game, right? We've seen Barcelona this week. We've seen Real Madrid this week. It's quite obvious which team had the better week. This is what's going to happen as we go into the Spanish. This is how the Spanish league table is looking as we go into this week's El Clasico. Here's the top of the table. Real Madrid, they are currently top. They have a 3-point advantage over Barcelona.
And a game in hand.
But Barcelona, as you can see, they have the much better goal difference. So if Barcelona,
it's not a goal difference, though, is it? It's on head-to-head.
I think
ignore that.
Alan Walsh, you were right. Know nothing about football.
You were just trying to prove him right, though. So that's
for sure. So
but the score in the first game was 1-1. So actually,
then it would revert.
It actually makes this El Clasico even more important.
Right. So it makes this El Clasico even more important.
And this one is at Real, obviously.
Yeah.
So
we do know that it's at the Bernabeu. We're sure of that.
And just to let you guys know, so when this game goes over after El Clasico, these are the fixtures that are remaining for both Barcelona and Real Madrid. Barcelona, Osasuna, Espanyol, that looks like a tough game, the local derby. Then they've got Villarreal, Las Palmas and Eibar. Real Madrid, they've also got a couple of tricky fixtures. They've got Deportivo, Valencia, Granada, Tony Adams, Granada. Will he have a definitive say in the title race?
No, he won't.
No,
they're terrible, and he is the worst manager of all time.
Okay, well, there you have it. Real Madrid, then they have to play Sevilla, Malaga, and then one game which isn't on this list because it hasn't been sorted yet. They also have the game in hand over Celta Vigo. It hasn't been scheduled yet, and when we get that, we will know. So, guys, this weekend, how do you think it's going to go in El Clasico? I think is your money on?
Barcelona need to win this game, and I think that will play into Real Madrid's hands and the way Zinedine Zidane tactically, we've learned now that he's very tactically aware that he won't have to press for this game. And I think that is when Barcelona don't really have anything other than this pure attacking sense. They'll play it like it's a home game, and I can see Real Madrid picking them off. I just don't see Real Madrid losing this at all.
Well, you say that.
And I think that's the end.
I just throw this into the equation. Real Madrid, they got some selection headaches. Okay, they got no Pepe, they got no Varane, they got no Carvajal. Tony Cruz, he's a doubt, and Gareth Bale, he's also a major doubt. He missed the midweek game. Those are some serious footballers.
Yeah, but as you were saying before, there's some decent backup for all these players, especially for Bale.
They haven't missed Bale. The reason they're higher in the league and done better in the Champions League is they have better backup.
Yeah, I mean,
Barcelona haven't missed
Bale. Yeah, Barcelona haven't missed Bale when he hasn't played.
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid.
Yeah, and Barcelona as well. They haven't.
Barcelona definitely haven't missed Bale.
And Real Madrid in every area. I think even as you weren't sure about the front three versus the front three. I think I would even argue the Real Madrid's front three is better when they're all fit and firing at their best. Yeah. The way they complement each other.
We need to get some sound effects in this thing because that was crazy.
It's crazy? Why is that crazy?
You think the BBC are better than the MSN?
Yes.
Well, there you go. What do you guys think?
I don't think so. I don't think, well, they kind of can't be because Benzema is just not as good as Messi and, well, as Suarez and Neymar. Like, say Messi and Ronaldo play off.
I have to quickly say, Neymar, he's also out. He's out for Barcelona. He is suspended. He will not have any part to play in this weekend's match in El Clasico.
So what does that mean? Does that mean Paco plays or they changed it, some kind of formation change? So either way, like we said before, there isn't that great depth. So
well, but they could play Iniesta like further forward than he has done for quite a few years. I think they've got options. Looking at the fixtures, I don't think either of the fixtures for either of them was particularly difficult. There was a couple for Real Madrid, maybe. Like, Barcelona always win it.
No, Real Madrid, they have Valencia, they have Sevilla, and
they're slightly harder, but they've got the game in hand.
And they got the game in hand.
Yeah, I also I think it could be a draw again. I would side with your argument. I don't know, maybe Messi... I mean, if I had to pull out an argument for Barcelona, it would be surrounding Messi, Suarez, backs against the wall,
but then you
Luis Enrique,
the morale factor.
Lost,
they're out of the Champions League.
Well, do we think form will play any part in this game? Real Madrid, they've got all the form coming into this game. They are unbeaten since February. They have 10 wins in their last 12. Barcelona, by contrast, they've lost 2 of their last 5, which isn't great.
And Real Madrid have been pulling off some spirited displays, like winning late on as opposed to just walking games. And I think that's a different kind of confidence you get from that, where you're not walking every game 4-0, 5-0, a la Munich and Bundesliga. I think the fact that they're scraping wins sometimes helps, and also you see the bit part players helping with that, like Isco and other players making an impact.
Orico agrees with Mark, who said before that the BBC are better than MSN. He agrees. He definitely thinks so. Yeah. If you think the BBC are better than the MSN, get in touch and let us know. Currently, the vote that we've got going, who will win El Clasico? Real Madrid. If you want to vote for Real Madrid, hit the heart emoji here. It's 1,000. You might not see the 1, but it is there. 1,735. Barcelona, they're on 1,060, so they are over 700 emojis basically behind. This is enormous.
This is like the title race, basically.
Well, it feels like it. This is absolutely enormous. Anything else to talk about on this game, or shall we kick it on and look at the Premier League for this weekend?
We'll kick it on.
It should be a fascinating game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
always. The eyes of the world will be on it. Millions, hundreds of millions of people will be watching it.
Sure.
I don't know. Now that we've started talking about it, I've got a sneaky feeling for Barcelona, but I wouldn't put my mortgage on it.
All right. Well, it's also a busy week in England. We've got quite a lot going on. Here is how the current Premier League table stacks shapes up. Although a lot of the teams, Chelsea aren't in action this weekend, Spurs aren't in action, Man City, Arsenal, they are all not in action this weekend because it is also the FA Cup semi-final, which we will get to. And here are this week's fixtures in the Premier League. So on Saturday, we have Bournemouth against Borough, Hull, Watford, Swansea, Stoke, West Ham, Everton. And then on Sunday, 2 biggies. Burnley, Man United, Liverpool against Crystal Palace. So
those Saturday games aren't that tasty, are they?
Well, I don't know. If you're at the bottom, I think they're very, very tasty.
The Swansea game is enormous. The Hull game is enormous for them.
The other two doesn't really.
The other two is like how many will Lukaku score for Everton, and Bournemouth need probably one more win to stay up.
I think they're safe anyway.
I know, but they talked after the 4-0 defeat at Spurs. They were talking about
You had to bring that up.
Yeah, I did. They were talking about we need one more win.
Because they're not going to say we need no more wins. Take it easy.
True.
Think about the beach.
No, but they are quite close. We have the table, don't we?
Yeah, we do have the table. No, we'll have this back up. Here's the table.
They are half.
Well, they're 35 points.
So they're 7 points from the drop.
Yeah.
With hardly any games left.
5.
Right.
Listen,
so they're safe.
They need one more win.
Mathematically, they probably need 2 more wins, but it doesn't matter.
So here's why Borough can win at Bournemouth this weekend, okay?
Why? I'm actually really interested.
Why?
How can Borough win at Bournemouth?
Please.
Borough have let in 2 goals in their last 8 home Premier League games. In every single game, they've let in at least 2 goals. Bournemouth.
Yeah. So
but one of those was against Chelsea.
So that leaves another 7
that
games.
Requires...
that is racist.
When was the last time Borough scored 2 goals?
We don't have that stat.
No,
but
we don't have that.
It was a long time ago.
No,
we scored 2.
What are the other things? Tell us the other things. What are the other reasons Borough could win?
Well, that's really basically it's just basically they concede a lot of goals. I mean, on the flip side, Bournemouth have never lost to Borough at home.
So these are more reasons.
Yeah, there's no.
Right. And here's my top stat. Here's my top stat. This is the only Premier League game. I take this back. Bournemouth. They are the only team that Rudy Gestede has scored a Premier League goal against. He did that for Aston Villa, for Tim Sherwood in 2015. That was the game winner, the only team. So maybe Rudy Gestede will score this weekend for Borough.
Well, Bournemouth do concede. So I can see Borough. No, I can't see Borough scoring.
You can't see Borough scoring?
No.
They weren't that bad last weekend.
Which weekend?
They had 13 chances against Arsenal.
Yeah, they weren't bad against Arsenal.
They weren't great, though. Arsenal have only really beaten rubbish teams for a while.
You know what? I'm going for a Borough win. You can check back in here next week. I'm going for a Borough win.
Can I just say that Alan Walsh has called us three of the biggest knobs on the internet. Hi, Alan.
And the internet is a massive place.
We love you too, Alan.
We love you too. On the internet.
Okay. Huge amount of knobs.
Keep sending in the abuse. We love it.
The second game on Saturday is Hull against Watford. I mean, Hull at home. Is this going to be another home win?
I think that Hull are sort of moving back towards safety, and I think
only when they play at home. Because when they play away from home, they're shot.
But home to Watford, you'd like to think. I know you, as a Palace fan, wouldn't like to think, but I would imagine this is 3 points for Hull.
Are you not going to pull out the Marco Silva stat?
Well,
he has never lost a home game, even as a child, at home.
No, he's still
in 3 years.
Everyone knows this stat already. It's over 3 years since he's lost a home game as a manager. He also, far more relevant though, he's won 5 of his 6 home games for Hull this season, and Hull have picked up 83% of their points, 25 points this season in the Premier League at home. They are super strong at home, and Watford could easily be on their summer holidays already. They're on the 40-point mark. They are safe. They aren't going down.
One point about Watford, because I've been thinking about Watford, because they play Chelsea later on in the season, and we've been discussing in the office that Watford have nothing to play for.
Yeah.
Watford are a funny kind of club, though, in that they've got all the relations with all the club, with the Italian owners, and there's loads of clubs connected. So that perhaps the Watford players are actually playing for their futures, which makes this game more likely to be a bit closer, and also the rest of it. I don't think what I'm saying is I don't think Watford are on the Sun Loungers yet.
You mean as some of those Watford players might fear being loaned to Udinese?
Well, Mbanyang, Mbanyang's got to play for his future, doesn't he?
Yeah, no.
A lot of them do. I think.
And the thing is, their inconsistent form is exactly that. They do occasionally win a surprise game. It's not like they're losing every game.
They won last week.
There you go.
Beat Swansea 1-0.
With a game you would expect that they would be about against a relegation candidate. I'm not sure there's such an easy win for everybody. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Next, moving on Saturday in the Premier League, Swansea against Stoke.
They have to win.
Listen, Swansea, I think a few weeks ago, everyone was like, yeah, Swansea are going to stay up, man. Yeah. Paul Clement, he's coming and he's done all the biz. In the last 6 games, they've lost 5. That is disastrous. I've got Sigurdsson. I know Ben's got Sigurdsson in his fantasy league team. It has been an absolute nightmare. I've also got Llorente. I'm going to put it out there. I've got 2 Swansea players, and they are just like.
Why do you still have 2 Swansea players?
I don't know.
Wildcard, mate.
No, I've been benching Llorente. I've not exactly been playing him, and but
isn't his morale bad enough if he sees this?
Yeah,
you're on his bench as well.
If he sees this.
I hear he's a big fan.
So Stoke last week, they were absolutely fantastic. They put in one of the performances of the weekend. They scored 3 amazing goals. But that was Stoke at home. Stoke away from home, they have not scored an away goal since January. That's over 500 Premier League minutes away from home that Stoke haven't even scored. So Swansea at home to Stoke. Are Swansea going to capitalise this week? They need to. They have to win this game.
Yeah, I think they will. I think that they know just how big this is, and the stat if they hear about that stat, now their confidence will be even higher.
Swansea, yeah. So I think Gylfi was a bit unlucky last week. I think it will come for him this week. Swansea.
All right, Swansea. And then, as we discussed, the final game is West Ham versus Everton. Ben already mentioned Lukaku, and here is my Romelu Lukaku stat. In Romelu Lukaku's last 9 games against West Ham, he scored 9 goals, 1 in every single game. Oh, wow. So if you ain't got Romelu Lukaku in your fantasy team this weekend, you're taking a big, big chance.
But the interesting thing about that as well
I took him out of my team.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, good. The interesting thing about that, though, is that Lukaku, he's done that against pretty good West Ham teams. Like last season when they were up there, they were 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
This season they're a shambles. And they're a shambles at the London Stadium. There's no, I don't think I've ever, well, maybe he won't score, but it feels like it's like the almost guaranteed goal scorer in a game.
Right, well, if he's not going to score, Phil Jagielka, he's on fire. 3 goals in 3 games. Whilst West Ham, they have injuries coming out of every orifice in their club. They have got Antonio's already out. Carroll is out this weekend.
Andy Carroll is injured?
Andy Carroll is injured and out. Slaven Bilic said that today in his presser. It is, West Ham, they got a point last weekend, right, at Sunderland in a 2-2 draw. That wasn't great. But that was a big point in the battle against relegation. I don't think they're going to go down, but Everton are going to go to the London Stadium and win. I think
and Everton are now battling to get the European spot.
Right,
it's within reach.
And Lukaku for Golden Boot, as we've already mentioned.
I think he's going to walk that, right? He's got 24 goals. The next guy is in 20.
20, Harry Kane, yeah.
Sunday, still in the Premier League, Burnley against Man United. I'm sure a lot of people remember the reverse fixture at Old Trafford this season. Tom Heaton, he made a Premier League high record of 11 saves in that game. It was 0-0. It was one of the many games this season where a lower league club has gone to Man United and a lesser club and picked up points. And this is Burnley at home. And as we all know, Burnley at home, they are the biz. So is everything pointing towards a Burnley win against Man United? Especially Man United tonight, they are playing in the Europa League against Anderlecht.
Well, I think that's going to be a draw. I think, given...
Which is going to be the Burnley game?
Yeah, because it's 21 games they've been unbeaten in the Premier League, but 10 of those have been draws.
22.
But they were really good against Chelsea. I know Chelsea kind of didn't turn up for that game. It was a really weird display. I think I even said last week that I expected Chelsea to continue that, even when they're not doing well, getting the result. But they were really off. Something wasn't quite right there. But as much as that, Man United were really, from the first whistle to the last, they were really pushing it. But I think that would be a draw.
I think United will win.
Yeah.
I think United have still got a lot to play for in the league. I think they still, even if whatever happens tonight, they will still think they can get top four. The game against City on Thursday night, I think, will focus minds a little bit. And they do, besides the defensive worries, like they've really only got Rojo and Bailly. They have quite a good enough squad to kind of rotate and deal with the fixtures that are coming up.
Well, they've got a big squad.
Yeah, well, they have enough players. Like we said before that off air that Lingard's played at the start of the last 6 games.
Yeah, they
have players. Like, you know, all the debate around Man United, it seems to be like, why isn't Martial playing, or what, you know, about the fringe players. It kind of proves that they do have the squad depth to deal with this.
In some areas.
Yeah, in some areas. But, all right, but Rojo and Bailly are good enough as long as they don't get injured, or they've still got Daley Blind on the bench, for example.
But then you get to the point where you have to have Ashley Young.
But yeah, Young played pretty well. I mean, Young won the ball back for the Herrera goal against Chelsea. So I don't... look, Young would walk into the Burnley team. I'm not having a go at Burnley. I think they've done really well. But United have the resources to win that game and win tonight. I think the City game is going to be more of a problem for them. And then they go to Arsenal and then they go to Spurs, which I think is going to be more of a problem for the league, for their league finish. But I think this is a winnable game. Look, Burnley are good at home, but they're also not. They're still not a great expansive team at home. I fancy United. I think Zlatan, if he plays, could easily score there, like he did at Sunderland recently. He scored a lot more away than home as well this season.
Ben, just want to go off a bit of a tangent on Burnley. You're our Spurs fan. I'm not sure, you guys at home, you've probably seen the transfer gossip. A couple of Burnley players are being linked with Spurs at the moment. There's Michael Keane, who basically everyone's being linked with, and Andre Gray.
Yeah.
What do you think of either of those things? Would you be happy with
Keane would be good. I think Keane has looked really good and has proved that...
Why would you need another centre-back?
Well, the link is that Dyer goes to Man United and Keane comes to us. But I think if you look at some of the quotes from Pochettino today...
That was in the Telegraph.
He's really nixed a lot of the... He said, like, if you want to come buy a Spurs player, come to the training ground and speak to Daniel Levy, which basically says none of them for sale.
Yeah.
I think Andre Gray looks pretty good. I mean, what did we say earlier? He's probably better than Vincent Janssen.
But like,
Gray's a funny character though, because he's been to jail and there's a whole...
I don't get why he would even be on your radar. Like, he's not young.
Well, he is quite young.
He's like 24, and
okay.
he's not got a massive. He's not got a massive. No, but he's not got a massive amount of Premier League experience. There's so many other players you could pick for probably a similar amount of money that they would ask for. I just don't understand that one. That's just agent talk. I can't.
Well, they're saying the Spurs will want to sign players with Premier League experience.
Right. I would understand buying Jermaine Defoe back more than buying Andre Gray, because it's just as a backup. You know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Gray will come. I think Keane could, but I don't think we'll split up the team. But
I think we'll hear a lot more about these transfer rumours as the summer approaches.
That's when it tends to happen.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's like all over the summer.
No, we will be getting into them once the summer.
There should be some good Facebook Lives in the summer.
There'll be some monster Facebook Lives. The final game of the weekend in the Premier League is on Sunday at Anfield. Liverpool against my team, Crystal Palace.
Minus Sacco, presumably.
Minus Sacco this weekend.
It could be big though, right?
Yeah, but don't worry, Dwight Gale's going to play. He's not really going to play.
No.
But obviously,
that confused me.
He's playing for Newcastle.
Yeah,
he is playing for Newcastle, but Liverpool.
It must be some sort of Palace.
But you're basically saying that Palace are Liverpool's bogey team.
This is exactly what I'm saying. I think Palace. Well, I don't think Palace are Liverpool's bogey team. Liverpool have won the last 2 games against Palace, but before that they hadn't won in any of the 4 games.
We're mainly talking about the 3-3 here, though, aren't we? When we talk about bogey teams, like overall.
Well, no, I'm just talking. There were 4 games of the last 6. Palace have results in 4 of them.
But only the first under Klopp, though, isn't it? If the last 2 have gone Liverpool's way, and they drew the first one with Pardew, there was the whole thing with Pardew and Klopp on the touchline. Yeah. Listen, I think Liverpool will have too much for Palace.
You think so?
I think that Palace might score, might surprise, but Saka's a big loss, and I don't know. Like Liverpool need to win. Liverpool is eking out wins when nobody's really watching.
What about Benteke against his old club, though?
I've made Benteke my captain based on the idea that he might want to prove Liverpool wrong. I agree with Ben here. I do think Liverpool will win. I was expecting Liverpool to start sinking after a few dodgy results, but without Saka, I mean, he's been a big reason for your...
No, 100%. Saka will be a huge loss. However, I would like to think that the confidence has come back. Last weekend also against Leicester, Palace went 2 down against Leicester at home, and then they recovered for a 2-2. Yeah. That was a great result. That showed the character of the team. Again, Andros Townsend was excellent. I don't think he's been getting the headlines because of Zaha, but he has been fantastic. I've said this before, Milivojevic, the defensive midfielder that we brought in January, he is fantastic. He's been an excellent addition to the team. On the flip side, a stat I came across today, Big Sam has never won a Premier League game at Anfield. So that's not great.
But a draw would be a good result.
Yeah, a draw would be an amazing result. It would be
a bad result for Liverpool. I think Liverpool have too much. They are the West Brom win and the Stoke win.
Yeah,
they're quite significant. I don't think we really talked about it here, and I don't think they've really received that much credit. But 2 clean sheets on the bounce. Oh no, 1 clean sheet at West Brom. But they look better defensively somehow. Mignolet's come into form. I don't think Liverpool will be too good. That strikes me as a game where Anfield will be rocking Sunday afternoon.
Firmino's hit a bit of form as well recently, which is...
And again, but this will go under the radar again because all eyes will be on Arsenal, Man City at Wembley in the FA Cup. So, again, I think Liverpool could just tick along and pick up the wins towards the end of the season without having to play any of the top 6 because they've played them.
I agree. All right, let's move on to probably what is the game of the weekend, though. It is not in the Premier League. It is in the FA Cup. Chelsea against Tottenham, first versus second. Now, this is the FA Cup, but this is how the fixture list looks for the rest of the season between Chelsea and Spurs. So, as we can see, Chelsea, they got some... well, what do you guys think about the fixture list? I mean...
Well, Ben was saying earlier that he thinks that Tottenham will... What's the word you use? That it will be a procession, Tottenham to win the title.
I'll be honest, I'm becoming more and more confident every day.
I thought you were going to say more and more deluded. But okay,
more and more deluded. I'm becoming more and more deluded that Spurs will do it. Partly because I don't think the fixtures actually matter that much anymore. And obviously they do. But I think the fixtures... Form is more important than fixtures.
Right.
I think
unless you're playing Sunderland at home, in which case that sort of nullifies every other formula we're talking about.
Possibly, but that's the last game of the season. No, looking at the fixtures like this, Chelsea's fixtures are much, much easier. There is absolutely no doubt about it.
But if Spurs win this weekend, will this be the definitive psychological blow?
That I do agree with you. I do agree that if Tottenham were to win this game on top of the fact that they kept closing on them, that could cause another stumble or an extended stumble, as you put it. And again, I agree with you, it's potentially possible that you would win your last 8 games in all competitions. I still don't think Chelsea are going to have enough of a stumble to lose the remaining 4-point gap.
But what happened the last time Chelsea and Spurs faced each other?
At Spurs?
Well,
2-0 Spurs.
Yeah.
But when was the last time they played at Wembley? Spurs lost in the League Cup final 2-0, and the last time they played in the FA Cup semi-final, Spurs lost 5-1. So
okay,
but form doesn't mean
anything. Spurs also don't play very well at Wembley.
And Spurs, wait, what the injury situation for Spurs?
Only Rose out.
Okay.
I mean, Vaughan, Carter Vickers is out, but they're not relevant really. I mean, Vaughan might have been relevant to the discussion because he played a lot of the cup games, but Lloris will play. So
it's going to be a tasty tie.
I think it would always be a tasty tie. But there is, look, it's difficult for. I don't want to be too optimistic, but like as a Spurs fan, your natural inclination is not to be optimistic. But
it seems like we've gone too far the other way.
Yeah, no, maybe I've gone too far the other way. But I really think this is... We've said this for a while now, and each Facebook Live that we do on a Thursday, we kind of say, well, if it doesn't happen this week, it won't happen. And it's kept on happening. And I also think one of the significant results of Spurs this season was at Swansea, which was a few weeks ago, where they were 1-0 down on 88 minutes and they won 3-1. And it feels to me like they will find a way to win every single game they've got remaining.
Right.
Now, you're right, Chelsea don't have that hard games, but the reason this is significant is because Spurs will strike another psychological blow. Then Chelsea play at home to Southampton on Tuesday, which is not an easy game. It's potential that Spurs-Chelsea on Saturday goes to extra time, maybe even penalties as well. Then Chelsea's turnaround is only a few days to that Southampton game. Spurs play a day later, albeit a harder game. But Southampton have also shown this season that they can stop. They were good in the League Cup final. They should turn up at least.
Well, I mean, but the last two games, as we saw there, it's home to Watford, home to Sunderland, right?
Yeah.
So if we just said, and I know you probably don't want me to say this, if we would say they were nailed on 6 points, you're looking at them having to drop 4 points from those other three.
But I'm not.
It's like if there was another 10 games left in the season, I would be willing to concede that it's definitely possible. But although you are closing, is at a pace that is in Chelsea's favour.
Yeah, but the reason I'm saying that Spurs can catch Chelsea is not necessarily only because I'm not really looking at the fixtures. I'm more saying that because the lead's whittled down from February of 12 points to now 4 points, I think that's psychologically very big. Again, that could change. Chelsea could effectively win it in a game if results go their way. But I think that there are certain signs with Chelsea which we have to accept and that we have to take on board and say, look, 10 Premier League games without a clean sheet, that is massive. That is really dodgy.
Yeah.
The fact Diego Costa's not scored for 5 Premier League games, the fact that Chelsea basically haven't beaten anyone convincingly for a very long time. The only game that, and I remember saying this quite a few months ago, and I'm not saying I'm the oracle, but it's the truth. They only beat Everton at home 5-0. And that's the only game you can really think of where Chelsea have really turned it on and really won convincingly.
But then this is where you can turn that on its head with a nice cliche. I mean, yes, they lost 2 of the last 3, but up until then, they were winning games the hard way. I mean, I don't really buy the fact they're not smashing people like you're winning 3-0, 4-0.
But you have to take on board the letting in goals. I mean, that is worrying.
Of course. I'm not going to argue that Chelsea aren't in form. Obviously, they're not. I'm just saying there just isn't enough time. You could lose points against Arsenal. So I mean,
we could lose points in any game. But
I'm saying
the margin of error is getting smaller for Chelsea because, like the other day, you watched the game when Rashford scored for United. I was watching it with some Spurs fans, and it was basically well, look, I mean, Chelsea can score maximum 2 in this game. They're not going to score more than 2. I know they played really badly, but looking at their results going, back, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months, they don't score more than 2. They just don't. Yeah. I mean, maybe they'll smash Spurs on Saturday. They'll win against Southampton. Spurs will lose against Palace, and it will all be over. But I don't see it, and I think there are certain signs that a lot of people are ignoring, and among those are the clean sheets, the lack of goals, the fact they're just not playing that cohesively. And also Conte is also saying things like, "Look where we were last season," as in almost preparing his team and the fans for failing
in public. I can imagine he's the kind of manager who will be able to say, "Get these guys back on track behind closed doors." What he says in public about last season is just to kind of hold on to expectations. I think he's the kind of manager I can imagine who will wake people up. I would hold off on the celebration party now.
No.
Mustafa's been in touch. He says Chelsea under pressure, expectation to win the league.
I think one thing to say is I think Gary Neville made a really interesting point on Monday Night Football where he said if the gap gets to 2 points, every game for Chelsea is then like they have to win. Mm-hmm. And I think that the psychological pressure will really come down hard on them because they've dropped all the points and they've dropped the lead, and then 2 points is one game. And when it becomes one game, then I think anything can happen.
It's like Newcastle, Man United, right? It's like back then when Keegan and the wheels just fell off.
Yeah,
that's you can kind of look at that connotation. Yeah, again, it's definitely possible. I just still think that Chelsea will win it.
But going to this FA Cup game, because that's originally what we were talking about, I think it will be really tight. I think the best case scenario. Look, Spurs are not going to win by a big margin of goals. If they did,
Spurs' record at Wembley is appalling.
Yeah, it is appalling. And also, Spurs don't really... I mean, generally in the big games, Spurs have failed a lot recently. I think it'll be really tight. But I think Spurs will be able to, hopefully, take encouragement from the game, whatever happens.
How do you think Poch will line up the team?
It's a big question. I'm not... there's some big question marks because there's no Danny Rose. playing Davis as a wing back in a 3 in a 5 or
Dyer.
3 it's a bit dodgy because Moses. Whereas Rose has the better of Moses probably has the better of Davis. Although Davis has been playing really well. And also, Wanyama's not been playing for 2 weeks, partly because of injury, and then he returned, and then they carried on with Dyer and Dembele. I think he has to go with Dembele and Wanyama in midfield because he has to stop Kante, and he's got to just win that battle, which they did at White Hart Lane. So I think it will be 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, whatever you want to call it. But that also means dropping Son, which is and Son's ridiculous 8 goals in 6 games.
Maybe he'll come off the bench though. I mean,
we're in the same situation that Spurs have been in for a long time. Is that they probably have 12 or 13 really good players.
Yeah, can't fit them all in. Chelsea should be back to full strength, especially at the back. Thibaut Courtois and Marcos Alonso, who missed the game at Man United, do various things. They should both be back for Chelsea, so they should be back to full strength.
Also, I think comparing it to United, there's been so much analysis of how United played. United basically stuck Herrera on Hazard. Now, I've heard some Spurs fans say that's what Wanyama did in the White Hart Lane game. I don't think he really did. I think it will be Walker against Hazard, and that also what they do. One. No, but what they do is they overload on the left with Alonso and Hazard, and they push a lot towards the left. Also, the other forward players do as well. So that's going to be really interesting. I mean, maybe that's another argument for playing Dyer towards the right. I don't know. That is a fascinating tactical battle as well.
Anything to add, Mark?
Well, I'm interested to see how Kane comes up against Luiz. I think he'll have a field day. I think he'll win that.
Kane
game.
will have a field day. Yeah.
David Luiz hasn't been good for a couple of months. Some say most of the season. But
so let's call it. Who do you think is going to win, Chelsea or Spurs, Mark?
Tottenham will win this game.
Ben?
6-0.
Nah, he's definitely going Tottenham. I didn't even have to ask him.
That's what he's laughing.
Can I explain
you
myself?
Asked the question. He's
can
laughing.
I explain myself?
Of course you can.
Is that I'm a Spurs fan.
What?
Yeah.
What? It's been. I knew it.
No, but for many years, and we were discussing this before, I've gone into games and saying, look, our team is rubbish. We're not going to beat like the big teams. Now I am totally confident in our team, and you know what? Like, lucky me and lucky us, because it's amazing. We're going through like a purple patch. We might win nothing, but this is an unbelievable time to be a Spurs fan. All the Spurs fans I know cannot wait till the next game and cannot wait to see our players play. But that's what football's about.
Right, and you have the added benefit of Arsenal going to shit. It's perfect. It's
that's a different discussion.
It's an amazing combination, right?
Well, that's the other semi-final.
Right, so let's get to that other semi-final. It's on Sunday. It's Arsenal against Manchester City. Arsenal, they finally got back to winning ways at Borough, but Man City last weekend, they were absolutely awesome away at Southampton.
Yeah.
Listen, they just met recently in the Premier League. It was 2-2. So, Mark, you're our resident Arsenal fan. What do you think is going to happen in this game? Are Arsenal going to make their third final in 4 years?
No.
So Pep Guardiola, he's going to go for his first title. That's what you reckon?
Although part of me was obviously I hope Arsenal win, but there was a scenario that I imagined North London Derby Cup final would be a nice way for Wenger to say goodbye. So if we could orchestrate that, that'd be one way. I know we won at Borough, but we made hard work of it against the Borough side, who were pretty piss poor. I like that. I saw the Man City display against Southampton. Like going forward, they were awesome, and I can't imagine we can cope with that defensively, whilst also not being all that strong up front recently. Ben, are you going for Man City?
Yeah, I don't. But
we'll see.
No, come on, I am generally quite neutral when I talk about football. Generally, other teams. Yeah, I don't see how Arsenal can win. I really don't.
Sanchez, Ozil.
No, I'm not giving you Ozil, but I'll give you.
Why not? Ozil's been one of their better players in the past few years. He was excellent against Bar. Excellent. He got on the score sheet, and he's become more effective.
I don't think he was excellent, even in a game where he won like the equal most tackles of his career in the Premier League. I don't think he was that good.
His influence in games is rising at a good time.
Well, okay,
when they get some serious games.
I think Man City have got a better team. They've got better players. I think they've got a better manager.
Even in goal, Bravo only made his first save from a shot on target last weekend.
I think overall they've got better players. I think the midfield area,
and attack.
Like even if Yaya Touré's there, who's been pretty good, he should dominate the Arsenal midfield. And then you add in De Silva, De Bruyne, Fernandinho. They've got better players in the engine room.
Arsenal this year, their only wins have been against shit teams or non-league teams.
Right.
Their only wins is like Borough, West Ham, those two non-league teams.
No, sure.
They haven't beaten a decent team.
Arsenal also.
So why would it happen now?
They've also got a couple of injury problems. They've got Ospina's out, Mustafi, he's probably the big one who's out. Lucas Perez is out, and Danny Welbeck is a big doubt. Wouldn't be surprised if he isn't involved. Man City don't.
The interesting thing from the 2-2 as well recently was that City, you kind of felt City took their foot off the gas all the time. Definitely. They should have won. And they won't do that this Sunday. They just won't. Like, they've got to win, and it's a cup game. It could be close. I generally can't see Arsenal finding a way to win it, and City should comfortably. Is Jesus back?
No, I don't. Listen, Jesus is back in training. We've got the video on the site. We've got it everywhere. He's looking good. His touch is looking good. I'm not sure he's going to play, but he might be on the bench this weekend.
Yeah, so that's quite key. And Aguero should just have enough of them. I don't... Also, there's quite a lot of people saying that Jesus Navas is now their regular right back and is going to stay.
Yeah, he was pretty decent in the last
Wait, what was he linked to today? He's linked to...
Back to Sevilla, no, by any chance?
He has been linked with returning, but they're also saying now that he might stay this summer, which is a real turnaround because he's out of contract. Apparently Pep Guardiola's really into him playing at right back, which is really interesting. And there are also people building up the Sanchez v Jesus Navas down Arsenal's left, City's right. That could be very interesting.
100%. So we think it's going to be Man City against Tottenham in the FA Cup final. I think it's on May the 7th, I think it is.
No, not that early. May 28th, May 27th.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I said that. It's in May.
It's going to be Chelsea-Arsenal now, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, almost definitely. 100%. All right, is there anything else you want to talk about today?
The PFA Team of the Year.
Yeah, what did you think about it?
Why don't we ask people if they were happy with that?
I didn't have a graphic.
We should probably remind people what that 11 was. That requires
us. De Gea. It was Walker Rose, the fullbacks. It was Gary Cahill
and David Luiz.
David Luiz and the centre backs. The midfield was
Kante, Hazard,
Dele Alli, Sadio Mane.
Yeah,
and then up front Lukaku and Harry Kane.
Yeah, no Zlatan, no
Azpilicueta,
no Toby Alderweireld. They were like some of the big names that people were getting.
I think it was said on Match of the Day. I think. Why do they pull these teams of the year out now?
Yeah, why do they?
I don't. It's bizarre. I don't know.
Well, really I think also because they took the votes in like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I guess maybe it's a throwback to when that was all done postally. There's no reason it can't literally be done on the day before. Like it's the players who do it anyway, right?
Yeah, by email or by like some website. It's kind of it's very
flying pigeon.
Maybe we should create an app for them. You know?
It's quite bizarre.
It's very bizarre.
But they all seem, at least the Spurs players. Harry Kane was tweeting about it before. Alderweireld was tweeting about it before. Everton put all their, were putting up loads of Lukaku goals on Instagram. Maybe it's just content and they got to put it out there.
No, it's a big thing.
Guys, we've been asking you today our poll, who will win El Clasico? El Clasico is on Sunday night. The world will be watching. You guys, you have been saying Real Madrid, you can't see it. I'm sorry for the screw up once again with the numbers. We will get this fixed. But Real Madrid, they've actually got 2,638 at the time of, it's just gone up. Barcelona, they're on 1,600. So that's 1,000 votes difference. That is pretty enormous. Obviously, if Real Madrid do win that game, I think that's basically the La Liga title race done and dusted. All right, I think that brings us to the end of today's show. We will be back next week with the usual shtick. Stay tuned. Hope you have a good weekend. Hope you enjoy the football. And we will see you on Monday, hopefully. Have a good one. Peace out.
Bye.